Stock Gurus, and welcome to another episode. Today we're going to be looking at Xom Mobil. We're going to do a technical analysis for Xom. We're going to look at the technicals on all timeframes to see the trend of the timeframes, what the targets are on the technicals. I'm going to give you the exact targets for Xom for the future and for today's trading day, the 23rd of December. We're going to look at the exact targets for Xom. So make sure you watch through to the end of the video to see those exact targets. We're also going to look at the news about Xom, the fundamentals, the revenues, the profits, how much money this company is making, and we're going to read all this information. I'm going to teach you how to do it if you're new to the channel. If you're new to the channel and not one of my nearly 19,000 subscribers, I want to say a big welcome to you. My name is James. I've been investing for 17 years, teaching for 10 years. I was an early investor in Tesla, the company, Match Group, the company that owns Tinder, PayPal, and Uber. I'm a retired multimillionaire, but now my passion is teaching investing and investing philosophy and mindset of abundance and how to handle money and have a lot of abundance. The reason I do this, I teach this because I want people, if you've been losing money in the stock market, not making huge gains, or you want to have money so you can buy amazing villas and have enough money to support your family, that's why I teach people. And that's why I've created the Stock Guru Master Course, www.stockguru.us. Jump on it. Anyone that purchases now before Christmas, on Christmas Day, I'll announce the winner of $1,000, which will be beautiful. So let's jump into the technical analysis for Xom Mobil now. So now we're going to do the technical analysis for Xom Mobil. Now we're in tradingview.com. This is my wish list. Some companies that we've been following and doing absolutely amazing with. MVIS up 600% in the last week. If you followed my video on MVIS 4 months ago, it was $2.50. Now we're currently sitting, it was $9.27, after hours $8.41. So up around 600%, which is beautiful. Unity also, since the IPO, when I made that video to buy Unity, buy at the IPO at $52, Unity is now 300% up, more than 300%, which is beautiful. Uber also up more than 100% since that buy Uber video at $26, I believe. Apple up 2.585% yesterday. After that video, the target 150, and since the video of about 95 when I made it for Apple. PayPal up massive since $30 when I made the original buy order for PayPal, which is beautiful. Match also up huge, almost 14 times, 1,400% since the original buy at $11. So the stock gurus were doing absolutely amazing, and many other amazing gains. Twitter up massive, lots of other stocks up huge. So big congratulations, students. You made more than nearly $300 million in the stock market now, which is beautiful. Today we're going to be looking at Xom. So I type in Xom, sorry, Xom Mobil. It's confusing with the Xom. So now first we go to the overall time frame of Xom, and we're looking at the overall chart of Xom now. So guys, I'm using tradingview.com. If you're looking at this and it seems like it's overwhelming, or you're panicking, or it seems too much, don't panic. It's very easy. I'm going to be able to teach you this very quickly. I've taught thousands of students how to do technical analysis. So you're looking at this and panicking, stop, take a deep breath and relax. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. And straight away, I'm liking this chart of Xom. Really, it looks beautiful. I'll show you why. Overall trend of Xom, since 1983, we're looking at here, massively trending up. To set up your charts the way I'm doing and using this so you can follow along with your trading, is I'm using RSI and stochastic indicators, squeeze mob indicator, volume indicator, support lines, resistance lines, blue trend lines. Now, everything you're seeing here, to set it up exactly the way I have, you can learn at www.stockguru.us, www.stockguru.us, and you learn. It's an 8-video lesson course. I'm meant to take 8 days, but most of the students finish it in 1 or 2 days, and you'll learn how to set up the chart exactly as you see here, which is beautiful. If you're losing money in the stock market, if you've been buying stocks and not making much gains, if you've been using leverage, if you want to have abundance of money so you can have beautiful villas and be able to spend and buy and have millions of dollars so you can buy whatever you want, make sure you take the course, www.stockguru.us. So let's jump in this. I'm going to explain how this works, and you're going to learn it very quickly. And this is just a glimpse of what you learn in the course. So RSI and stochastic, the way these work. Below the dotted line, it means the RSI and stochastic, it means the company is undervalued, too cheap. Above the dotted line, too expensive. So in the long-term time frame, you can see that the stochastic Xom is too cheap, in the oversold for both the stochastic and RSI. The trend is your friend, and the overall trend of Xom is massively trending up. That's the main thing we look for. The trend is your friend. Xom went up to $100 and then came crashing down because of COVID, and it found support. The low of COVID was $30, and now we're currently sitting at $41. So not much of a recovery from COVID. That's why I like this stock for a recovery play in the long run. The overall trend is trending up. We have the stochastic and RSI. Let's go a bit closer. We have the stochastic and RSI turning and heading up. This is indicating buy. We also have the squeeze mob indicator turning from very red. Now it's starting to go towards the green. So it's starting to turn now, Exxon. It's starting to go towards the green. We have the stochastic turning up. We have the RSI turning up. We have huge amounts of volume recently. Volume predicts price. Always remember this saying. My students know this from the Stock Guru Master course. Volume predicts price. Now, why does volume predict price? The reason is, I'm just going to move. The reason volume predicts price is when you're selling, if you were to sell me your shares of Exxon and I was to buy your shares of Exxon, this would add to the volume. So this is the selling and the buying of this company. The reason volume predicts price is when you have low volume like this, it means not much interest in the company. Then you have a big spike up in volume in selling and buying. It means there's a lot of interest in this company. And usually that indicates volume predicts price. So we're having a lot of indications of that Exxon in the long term is going to be moving up. Stochastic, very oversold, turning, heading up. RSI, very oversold, turning, heading up. Huge amounts of volume, recently buying volume, indicating that we're going to start moving up for the long term for Exxon. And the potential is this previous all-time high for Exxon, its big resistance at the $89 or $100 mark for Exxon, 89 being the first major long-term target. So stochastic RSI turning, heading up, going to 2021, Exxon will start to try to recover back to this $80 mark, which will be beautiful in the long run. The overall trend again is massively trending up. Even with this big drop down, the overall trend for Exxon is massively trending up. And the current price for Exxon, to buy it at this, the first time it had this $40 price, was back here in 1999. So you're buying at the same spot that you would have bought in 1996. Now is the same price that you're buying at. So a very big discount at the moment for Exxon if you're looking for the long term. So beautiful. Now we click down here on the 1 year time frame down there, and we're going to see what, so this was the 1 month. Each of these candles were 1 month. We were looking at the overall history of Exxon since 1980s. Now we click 1 year. Now we're looking at the month, at the daily candles. Each of these candles represent 1 day in the market. So now we're going to try and see what's going to be happening to Exxon going into March 2021. So 2021 and then going towards March. We're going to see what's going to be happening to Exxon. We have a large amount of volume. Volume predicts price. However, we have the stochastic and RSI. It peaked at this $45 mark and now it's starting to come down. And we have the stochastic and RSI heading down hard. RSI also heading down hard. The squeeze mode indicator was green, but now it's starting to go red again. So indicating Exxon is going to be trying to come down. However, with this amount of volume, it's got a lot of volume recently. The only time it had more volume was back at the peak fear of COVID pandemic. So right now we have a lot of volume, and volume predicts price. So Exxon, even though it is coming down, it's got a lot of support. I think the first major support for Exxon, when it's going to come to in the midterm, going into February 2021, 2021, the first January 2021, is this support here at the $36 mark. So in the midterm, it looks like Exxon will come down to this $37 mark. Sorry, it's a bit higher. The support is here, where it previously bounced here. So the target is $37.90 in the midterm. Exxon looks like it is going to be coming down to $37.90. Hopefully that resets the stochastic and the RSI, and then we can start turning to start heading back up towards the previous all-time highs for Exxon going into 2021. We just need to see demand for oil start to increase. The overall trend for Exxon for this year has been massively trending down. So the trend is your friend, and it looks like you don't want to be really buying here for Exxon. It's still trending down. Until the trend changes, we be wary. However, recently we've had huge volume, and volume is starting to predict price. So Exxon, even though it's coming down, it's starting to bottom out overall. A very strong support for Exxon, very hard for it to break, is this 32. And the reason it's so hard for it to break, it first got down to 32 during the peak fear of COVID. So it's unlikely that Exxon can come and break down this 32. So it's a major, major support. First support it's going to, again, is the $37.80. But we're very close to a turning point for Exxon. And it looks like it's going to start turning after this $37.80. Maybe it comes down to the $32 mark. But this will be an excellent buy for Exxon to start heading back up overall, which is beautiful. It looks like the trend is starting to change for Exxon, which we're going to keep monitoring. Now we click down here, the 3 months. So before, originally, we were looking at each day. Each of these candles was representing 1 month. then 1 day. Now we're looking at 1 hour in the market. So we're looking for Exxon for today's trading day, the 23rd of December. We're going to look at what's going to be happening for Exxon for the 23rd of December. And for today's market, it looks like the stochastic is turning to head down. The RSI also turning down. So it looks like we are coming down for Exxon. And we also had a drop off in volume, high volume and then low volume, indicating that it is going to drop down for today's trading day. The target and the support for Exxon is again sitting here at the 40. We have a strong support here at $40.52. So it looks like Exxon will be coming down to $42.52 for today's trading day. $40.52. Exxon is coming down today. It's going to be a red day for Exxon. However, the RSI is nearly bottomed out. So this is indicating from there we're going to possibly start turning to head back up to this $44 over the next few trading days. But for today's trading day, the target for Exxon is $40.54. It's going to be a red day, but we're very close to bottoming out and the beginning of a trend change for Exxon, which is beautiful. So this was technical analysis, and I want to show you why you must learn this. And again, you learn everything you've seen here at www.stockguru.us. You go to that website, you take the Stock Guru Master Course, and many of my students, it's changed their lives and made many multi-millionaires of my students. It's currently $333, but it will be going to $3,000 for the course. So now I'll show you why technical analysis is very powerful. Here's an example. Stochastic, very oversold. RSI, very oversold. As you now know, this is indicating that we're too cheap and it's going to start heading up for a buy. We have a good amount of volume, not huge, but bigger than normal. And we have Exxon sitting at this very strong support at the 38. These are all indicators of buy. So all Wall Street bankers, all 401k managers, they see these same conditions being met. Stochastics turning to head up, RSI turning to head up, lots of volume. Exxon at this $38 support, all indicators of a buy. So the price for Exxon comes down. All the Wall Street bankers see this same condition. You see this condition now. So you set all your buy orders here. And because you set your buy orders, once the price reaches here, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It hits that point and then it bounces and heads back up. And that's why it's very powerful. And you would have caught a movement from $38 to $44, which is nearly a 10%, 15% movement in Exxon, which is beautiful. You would have known to buy there and you would have caught a 15% movement. And that's why you must learn it, because at the Stock Guru Master Course, www.stockguru.us, it teaches you the exact prices to buy your stocks. So if you've been losing money in the stock market or you don't know the exact price to buy your stock, you learn it. So you learn this. Technical analysis, www.stockguru.us. So now let's jump into the fundamental analysis, the news about Exxon. Now we're looking at the fundamental analysis. So what you saw before was the technical analysis, the support, the resistance lines, the RSI, the stochastic, the volume. Now you know how to predict the price movements on the technicals. That's the first main way to value stocks. I'm the first teacher that teaches both combinations combined. The second main way to value stocks is fundamental analysis. The revenues, the sales, the profits, profit margins. And I combine these both together, these teachings, technicals and fundamentals, to come to conclusions to buy stocks. And that's what made my students more than $300 million in the stock market. And it's very powerful when you combine them both. And I'm the only teacher that teaches this. Again, www.stockguru.us to learn this. In these videos, you're getting a little bit of a glimpse of this information, but to really understand from beginning to end, you must take the Stock Guru Master Course. So let's begin. It's the best investment you'll ever make as well, compared to, if many people ask me, what should I buy for stocks or this or that? The first thing you should buy is my course, so you have a really powerful understanding. And I also teach a mindset of abundance, how to have financial abundance, how to live as a multimillionaire, and much information in the Stock Guru Master Course. I also teach the laws of money. And they're very powerful, and very few people actually know the laws of money, because you had to have millions of dollars to actually understand them. So let's jump in. Exxon Mobil is the Exxon stock. EXOM is the ticker. So in Google, I type in Exxon stock, Exxon. Exxon Mobil is the company, corporation. The overall trend of Exxon is still, even with this massive drop because of COVID, from up to 100, then huge drop down to $30, it's still massively trending up for Exxon, and it looks like an amazing chart. This looks like a monster. Look at this. It's like preparing a big movement up. This is a big monster of a company. You can just see it. It looks like a giant wave is forming here. And that's going to be some big movements. If you bought Exxon in 1980, it was $5. You're up, it's quite a long time, almost 40 years. You're only up 20 times your investment. $1,000 there is now $20,000. $1 million there is now $20 million. But that's because of this huge drop down. If we were up at the previous all-time high of $100, you're up nearly, what is that? 10 times 50, so 20 times. 20 times would have been at the $100. Now you're only up around 9 times because of the drop. So unfortunate. The market cap of Exxon is also on the long-term time frame massively trending up. The trend is your friend. On the 5-year time frame, sidewards moving, even down. The downward moving on the side. So it's not the best. 1-year time frame also down. 6-month time frame sidewards. 1-month time frame trending up. Usually I teach my students you want every time frame to match. You want all time frames, long term, mid term, short term, all trending up. That's the best time to be buying stocks, when every time frame is trending up, because then you're going with the flow. The trend is your friend. So Exxon is a little bit dangerous. However, we know what created this big crater. It was because of COVID. So it's actually a good buying opportunity, because you're getting the same price that you would have first received in 1999. It first hit this price. So you're getting a 20-year discount on this stock. Unbelievable. 22-year discount. Market cap of Exxon, $174 billion. The way you get the market cap, it's the price, $41, times the number of shares outstanding equals the market cap. So 174 billion. Even with this huge drop though, the PE ratio is still very high. 53 times. So be very careful here. Dollar cost average. The golden ratio that Warren Buffett taught me is 20 times. Now, if you're asking what is PE ratio, let me explain. So price, PE ratio, $41 divided by the earnings per share. So right now you're paying 53 times the earnings per share. You're paying the price. It's 53 times the earnings per share. You're paying a 53-time premium. Warren Buffett taught me 20 times is the golden ratio. 20 times PE ratio. The reason is because that means you're paying 20 times premium, but this is usually indicating that the company you're buying has a lot of interest. A lot of people are willing to pay a 20-time premium, so it's very nice. However, 53 times is showing that this company is currently overvalued, so we need to be careful here. However, the earnings per share in Exxon would have dropped a lot because of COVID, so it's not completely accurate. The dividend yield, I'm not sure if we have to check if Exxon is still paying it, is 8.44% dividend yield. So it hasn't recovered much at all, but that means if you're holding this stock every year, you're receiving 8.44% for holding this stock. So now let's look at the news for Exxon. We click news here. So now we're looking at the news for Exxon. Why Exxon Mobil is a smart bet on the energy sector. I agree, because the markets are starting to recover, especially with the whole COVID vaccine, so it can be recovering quickly. Exxon Mobil dips more than broader markets. Exxon is in crisis. Angry shareholders are rebelling. Big oil's diverging bets on future energy, that they're saying that electric energy. However, Exxon is still going to be popular for a long time. You still need oil, even though there's still going to be planes, buses, even though the world is going electric. For the midterm, the next 10 years, we still have this transition effects. But in the long term, we have to be careful of oil. It is correct. Former Exxon chief Raymond to retire from board of JP Morgan Chase. Oil giant Exxon Mobil pushes new climate change plan as activist investors circle. Goldman upgrades Exxon after years of underperformance, says shares a treat. I agree. Exxon Mobil's 20 billion write-down bad news for the LNG stock. So no major news here. Let's read why it's a smart bet on the energy sector. This could be an interesting. Goldman gives an options trade to play an energy sector comeback in the first quarter. Goldman says analysts are growing more bullish on oil prices, and they believe there's a way for options traders to take advantage. Energy companies have been hit hard during the coronavirus pandemic as travel restrictions spurred a dramatic demand decline and heavy debt loads weighed on company cash flows. But when the vaccine and economy recovery in sight, Goldman sees the energy sector outlook improving. I still think it's quite a way until we do actually see improvements here. It still could take a while for them to improve. Angry shareholders are rebelling. Exxon was an unstoppable machine and the envy of the oil industry. Now that machine has broken down. For the first time in modern history, Exxon faces a credible challenge from frustrated investors seeking to overthrow its board of directors. The effort, led by a new activist investor firm called Engine No. 1, calls for Exxon to rein in its massive spending ambitions, revamp executive pay, and explore a push into clean energy. Engine No. 1 has received support from the Church of England and one of America's most powerful pension funds, the California State Teachers Retirement System. But that's not all. Activist hedge fund D.E. Shaw has built a larger Exxon stake than the one held by Castris, and Engine No. 1 is pushing the oil company to slash spending to save its dividend and improve its profit performance. So they really want this to turn around because their shareholders have taken a beating from Exxon. This effort shows how far mighty Exxon has fallen. Once the world's most valuable public company, Exxon's market valuation has crumbled by staggering $266 billion since mid-2014. Exxon is losing money for the first time in decades and got kicked out of the Dow Jones Industrial Average after 92 years in that exclusive index. Historically, Exxon hasn't had to care too much about shareholders. Now they've got people rattling their cage because of all the dissent has becoming... So because shareholders are unhappy about what's happened because of the COVID, they got even more riled up. So that's the news on Exxon. Let's quickly look at the financials here, and then we're going to go deeper into the news in Twitter. Twitter is an amazing way to track the news for your companies. Exxon Mobil Corporation, doing business, is a multinational oil and gas corporation headquartered in Texas, largest direct descendant of John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil. Founded John D. Rockefeller founded in 1999, it became Exxon Mobil, the joining of the two companies. Revenues, $264 billion in revenues. Unbelievable. Now the financials. December, it was making $63 billion. So what are quarterly financials? Every 3 months, a company is required to show their quarterly financials, how much money they made for the previous 3 months. All publicly traded companies are required by law to report to the owners of the company, you guys, the stockholders. So in December, the previous 3 months before that, they made $63 billion in revenues, quite big revenues, down 7% though year on year. Net profit margin still okay, 9%. That's pretty good profit margins for an oil company. Cash on hand, $3 billion. So they have a lot of cash. March, revenues dropped 10% year on year, $55 billion, and their profit margins went down to -1 during COVID pandemic. June, huge drop in revenue, $32 billion down, 52% down, net profit margin down 3%. They raised a lot of cash though. They increased their cash pile to $12.58 billion to survive the pandemic. September, we have a turnaround, revenue starting to increase. However, $45 billion in revenue, still down 30% year on year. Net profit margins down 1.15%. Cash on hand, $8 billion in cash. So now let's go into my Twitter to see any major news for Exxon. Now we're in my Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter. It's an amazing way to track your stocks. You type in Stock Guru and follow me on Twitter in the search. Here you can see just student reviews of the Stock Guru Master Course at www.stockguru.us. Amazing reviews. This is Nicole. She was down 90,000, took my course, up 90,000. Now in an update, she's up $700,000. And you can see just many reviews from my students, hundreds of reviews, some of them buying $2 million houses, Ferraris, paying off mortgages, sending their kids to Harvard. You can just see amazing stories. People losing money in the during the COVID pandemic and now making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Beautiful. This is an article I showed that the House is looking to pass $2,000 direct payments by Christmas Eve, Thursday. Elon Musk confirms he reached out to Apple, Tim Cook, over a possible buying acquisition, but they didn't take it. Tim Cook refused to take the meeting. Robinhood is going to get so many $2,000 deposits. And you can just see many posts that I share. This was the live that we did on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. in the Eagle's Nest. That was a beautiful conversation. Ahmed is on track to be my first $100 million profit student, which will be beautiful. He's currently above $12 million at the moment. Our goal is to make him a $100 million plus student, which will be beautiful. $100 million plus student. You can just see many information that I share. Here was my breakfast that I'm very grateful for. A very nice breakfast. And just much information that you can follow on Twitter. To search for me, you go to the search on Twitter, and so you type in Stock Guru in the Twitter search, and then I will pop up at the top, and then you can just follow me to see this, and then we can type in Exxon. So we can type in Exxon like this, and this is an amazing way to track your companies, and I'm going to show you why. So it ranks the news by top. So you find the top searched and liked news. And why that's very powerful is on Twitter, you can follow all the CEOs, you can follow Elon Musk, you can follow Tim Cook, and you can see this information even before the news agencies get it. It's very powerful. Wouldn't it be fairly easy for people to boycott the top 5 most profitable companies for a week? Walmart, Amazon, Apple, CSV? Unlikely. So we're trying to find any major news for these companies. Any major information about Exxon. So no major information. We're trying to find any major information. Exxon Mobil, in the past decade, we invested more than $300 million in biofuel research. Interesting. Wow, that looks amazing, this biofuel. Beautiful looking scientist bio oil. So we're trying to find any major news for Exxon Mobil. Shockingly leaked internal Exxon holiday video. Okay, we're trying to find any major news. It doesn't seem to be any. So now what we can do is we can type in the ticker XOM and see if there's any news that way. Option traders are signaling that energy could be one of the 2021's hottest plays on the recovery. It is very possible. It can recover almost 300% for Exxon. So no major news. We're trying to find any major news, but it doesn't seem to be any major news for Exxon that we haven't already read. So that's Exxon. So now I'm going to show you in my Stock Guru. You click here, and here is the Stock Guru Mastercourse student reviews. You can go www.stockguru.us. You go to this website, and here you have the Stock Guru Mastercourse. Currently $333. My producers are increasing it to $3,000, incrementally, slowly increasing it. So make sure you jump on that quickly. Anyone that purchases the Stock Guru Mastercourse between now and Christmas, and on Christmas Day under the tree, I'll announce the winner of $1,000 for your portfolio. Here you can see just some reviews of my students. This student buying a Ferrari 430 Scadia, following my channel. This student officially without a mortgage. This student making $330,000. This is Patrick. He lost his job during coronavirus. He used to play 200 gigs a year in Europe as a musician. You can follow his videos at Patrick Lamb on YouTube. Amazing music of saxophone player. Now he's $100,000 plus in profits. This student, David's up 450%. Brendan got his course. Watch it whenever I'm free time. Definitely going to teach my kids as well. Brendan's up a lot also. And Nicole was down 90,000. Now she's then up 90,000. Now up 700,000. Then you can read the description of the Stock Guru Master Course. I highly recommend it. Best investment you can ever make with $333. You learn so much information. My information of being a 17-year investor, early investor in Tesla, Match Group, the company owns Tinder, PayPal, Uber, and a multimillionaire. And I teach you the laws of money, a mindset of abundance, and much more in this course. You click buy this. It's currently $333. And anyone that purchases now before Christmas goes in the chance to win that $1,000, which is beautiful. So now let's go into my broker, Charles Schwab, to look at the financials of Exxon. So now we're in my broker, Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab is recommended for US citizens. It's a publicly traded company, $5 trillion in assets, so it's a very good company to be using as a broker. For non-Americans, you need $25,000 minimum to open a Charles Schwab brokerage account. For Europeans, I recommend Interactive Brokers. For your country, the best brokers for you, I teach in the Stock Guru Mastercourse, www.stockguru.us. So Xom is the ticker on New York Stock Exchange, the price $41.24. The bid price is what people are offering to buy Exxon for $41.35. The ask is what people are willing to sell the stocks for. C rating by Charles Schwab. The price back in 2016 was $95. The low was $30 during COVID, and now we're sitting at $41. 31 million shares were traded in yesterday, so quite a lot of volume recently. Volume predicts price, and you can see the same thing here. Low volume, huge volume recently. Volume predicts price, so we're going to expect some big movements up for Exxon in the future. Price to earnings ratio is still very high, 68 times. Because they lost so much money in earnings per share, their P ratio went up. However, the forward P ratio for next year is 26 times, so it's not so good, bad. The overall, it's meant to be 20 times is the golden ratio that Warren Buffett taught me. Dividend yield 8.3%, market cap 1.74 billion. However, the enterprise value is 240 billion, so this company is undervalued at the moment. Any major news? Engine number one is fighting for clean energy. Energy stock slides as Brent crude oil falls under $50 per barrel. Exxon Mobil said to have issues on Nigerian terminal, force majeure. U.S. energy giant Exxon Mobil issued a force majeure on Nigeria's crude oil export terminal last week in the wake of a fire that hit the facility and injured 2 workers. Shale oil just had its worst year and the pain could bleed into 2021. And in Charles Schwab, we've got a C rating by Charles Schwab, equity rating, neutral, Ned Davis, hold, August, CFRS, hold, and long market edge. So most analysts are saying hold this stock, not buy. However, the volume is showing that a lot of people are starting to buy this stock. Volume predicts price. Now we're looking at the financials of Exxon. Let's see how much money they make. I go to the statements, and I'm going to show you how to read financial statements. It might seem overwhelming, but don't panic. In the Stock Guru Mastercourse, I'm going to explain this very easily, but in the Stock Guru Mastercourse, I explain this in depth, and you'll really understand it fully. So these are the profits for Exxon, the total revenues. That means the total sales. In 2015, $239 billion, $239 billion, $250 billion in sales. Unbelievable. Then 2016, 200 billion, 2017, 237 billion, 279 billion, 2019, 255 billion. Now we would have had a big drop because of the whole COVID pandemic, but still massive, massive revenues. Then the net income after tax is sitting at $11 billion. So even though they're making $200 billion in sales, $255 billion in sales, they're only keeping $11 billion in profit, which is quite a low profit margin. That would be a 10% profit margin would be 25 billion. So it's a 5% profit margin, very low profit margin. They really need to work on it. But it used to be 10%. However, now it's 5%, so very low profit margin. So the owners, the operators, the CEO, they need to work on this. This is why the investors got so unhappy. And the current cash of Exxon is $8 billion. So let's have a summary now of Exxon. So in summary, Exxon is still a buy because of the potential recovery from the oil industry going into 2021. It might not be a quick recovery, but it will happen. So it is still a buy base of that. The technicals, however, are not indicators of a buy technically, because on all technical timeframes, normally I only give a command to buy, an order to buy, when all the technical timeframes are trending up. Exxon is not. It's actually trending down on a lot of timeframes. So that's wary. Be wary of that dollar cost average into Exxon if you believe in this company for the long term. The fundamentals are quite good. They still have a lot of revenues, huge revenues actually, $250 billion in revenues. The only thing, their profit margin of 5% is very low. That's a worry. Normally I teach only buy stocks with massive revenues, huge revenue year-on-year growth, which Exxon doesn't have. Huge profit margins, massive cash piles, Exxon does have. So it's ticking one of the three indicators of a buy. It is still a buy though on the potential recovery, but dollar cost average into the stock. Do not put a large amount of capital in one go with Exxon. If you like this analysis, everything you've seen here, you learn again in the Stockguru Mastercourse, www.stockguru.us, currently $333. Anyone that purchases now before Christmas gets in the chance to win $1,000 for their portfolio, which is beautiful. If you want to see my live trades, usually I make a trade investment in the market every day. You see my live trades here. You see the join button for the YouTube membership. Normally, I'm buying a stock every day. I usually put in the live, when I make a trade in my portfolio, I put in the YouTube membership $99 a month. I put my trade, I put the buy order, the limit price, the targets for my trade, the reasons for my trade, and my stop losses. I put in the YouTube membership button there. You click it, you join, and you'll see my live trades in the market, which is beautiful. I hope you like this technical and fundamental analysis for Exxon Mobil. I hope you have an amazing trading day, amazing Wednesday. Let's make a lot of money in the stock market, and I hope you have an amazing Christmas, and I'll see you again tomorrow.